Welcome, everybody. It's Old Grumblers podcast episode, I want to say like 20-something.
Did you not check the episode number?
I'm in full screen on this.
Absolutely reprehensible.
We should just do like February 2025.
Exactly. It's the February 2025 episode coming at you hot. Today, we're going to be tier listing the different DLC since you liked the last tier list. Super original idea, never done before. So we thought we'd do the DLCs. I know I did the DLC ranking, but a tier list is a bit more, gives you a bit more nuance because you can be like, well, these are all good and these are all not good. So that's what we're doing today.
It's also really good as a buyer's guide, for example. If anyone's going to go and say, "Hey, there's a big sale on. I wonder which one I'm going to buy." Maybe there are three people who can't agree on anything that can talk to me to me, and I'll just go all the way to the end, see where they picked, and I'll just buy those without knowing anything.
I take it because we didn't discuss this beforehand, that we're doing it from the perspective of now rather than going back in time and buying the Beastmen DLC when it first came out.
Yes, this is as they are today.
Yeah.
In Warhammer 3 with Immortal Empires. So that's it.
That makes sense.
Okay, should we go through like release date, because this is
release date. God, yes.
All right, so Chaos Warriors are first, right? Because they were the pre-order.
Yeah, they were the pre-order DLC.
They're pretty good these days, I reckon. I
think they're really good now.
Either
I would say
it's not. Yeah, quite
8. I mean,
but okay. Here's the question: are they better than the new 4? The Champions of Chaos? Because I would say they're fun, but they're not as good as the Champions of Chaos. So I would say at most they're going to be an A tier.
Yeah, if Champions, I mean, we're kind of giving the game away here. If Champions are above them, there's only one place to go.
But they're kind of related, aren't they? Because they both give you access to play the Chaos Warriors.
Yeah,
but
because
one.
I mean, every single DLC that's been basically for Warhammer 3 has been like Archaon. You're standing there like Archaon as Thanos with like his glove, and just like putting in something else there, like slaughter brutes, vortex beast, like constantly. So I agree. On its own, it's A. Together with the rest, it would be S tier.
I can't believe you guys agreed on Archaon placement. It's great progress. I'm really proud.
It's because I didn't mention Archaon. That would have been.
He's still a massive dweeb. But...
actually, Archaon's in it. D.
I hate him, and I will not specify.
I specified plenty of reasons why he's a dweeb, but it's also got Sigvald in it, so
And Kolek. God, can you hear that guy cutting tiles?
No.
God,
Sigvald's voice actor is so funny because I just hear somebody trying to do like a sort of Sean Connery impression. And it's Sigvald. Really slanderous.
His rap bars, though. That boy, he never misses.
He never misses. What was the next DLC? Was it Beastmen?
I think.
My best boys.
Yeah, but you could just play Taurox and you get like basically everything.
You know what? Actually, my favorite Beastman is probably Morga, who is a free LC anyway. But you need the DLC to play him. So, where is the Beastmen?
Yeah,
I would say they're also kind of A tier because they are pretty good with what they do. They are fun to play. I play them plenty. I can't really say like Malagor has his own playstyle. Morgar has his own playstyle. Kazrak is there. It's all cool.
Oh, poor Kazrak.
Are they as good as Chaos Warriors?
Do you guys want to know like a really fun fact about the Beastmen DLC? Beastmen DLC was kind of like the starting point for all the crazy stuff in Warhammer 3. And I do realize I didn't wait until you answered. Do you guys want to know something really fun about this? Because I was just going to say this anyway. This was like start of the really like wonky and weird stuff for Warhammer, where they just went wild. So Beastmen was the first roster Creative Assembly ever made where half of the units were just Vanguard deployments. And they thought like, wow, that's mind blowing. Can you even make that? And then they started like going apeshit on all the really cool mechanics and stuff.
It does feel like as the Warhammer series has progressed, they've got like progressively braver when it comes to just doing the weirdest shit possible.
Yeah,
which I love for them.
Yeah, it's really good. It was a good like springboard as well for all the other DLC as well. I would probably say like B or A, honestly.
I would personally probably put them below Chaos Warriors just because I think their campaign is a bit more going on. The Beastmen are just like attack, blood thing.
But with the Beastmen, you've got the blood grounds. They've got their own basic. I mean, the Chaos Warriors are a lot of fun, but the Beastmen are a faction who actually have like an objective to complete, which makes them significantly better than the just paint the map, please.
That is fair. They have got a bit more direction. You know, I'll allow it. I know it's Valentine's Day. Spoilers when we're recording this. Just for you.
I've been wondering about this kind of DLC tier list as well because I'm such a hardcore fan, but I'm like, I really make a B tier DLC at this point, kind of thing.
Oh no, there's some. All right. Blood for the Blood God. All right, let's just get that out of the way. It's pointless. It's literally ceasing to exist.
But I'm also gonna say that I don't really mind any kind of ranking for that one because in the end, it's like $3.50, and I've spent so much time on my channel just like complaining about it that right now there is literally no way that any time I put on it would ever like be worth those $3.50 of complaining, like ever. Like I could like there's just no way. Like I can't care about it anymore. Just physically.
Yeah, I mean they are doing away with it, so that just shows how bad it was.
Rest in piss, blood for the blood god.
Was it the Grim in the Grave next?
I think it was. Bloody hell.
Was it Skullsnick?
Vampire Counts haven't had a DLC since the very first Lord pack. And
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2016 was the last one they got. Well, they got a update as well in 2018.
I'm gonna throw up. Nearly 10 years. It's 9 years this year. They better get a rework this year, otherwise I would say
the most horrible thing as well. The most horrible thing as well is that everybody's just chomping at the bits to buy like a cool vampire DLC, but I really think they need the end time stuff to actually make it cool. Otherwise, they won't have anything neat there.
Yeah, after playing the Nagash mod, if they don't do something that is of like that caliber of depth, I think people will be a bit like, oh, really? Just a Lord pack after all this time?
I think the problem with the vampire counts is that on the tabletop, when they split out the different types of undead, because obviously there used to be just undead. There used to be Warhammer armies undead, and it was literally everything. So you would have Screaming Skull catapults, you would have mummies, you would have vampires that looked like, you know, the Sylvanian vampires, all in the same army. That was basically what they were. And then they split them out, so you had a little bit more variety. So you had the Tomb Kings and so on and so forth. But because the vampire counts are supposed to be so different, like the Lamian vampires are supposed to have very different sort of style than the Sylvanian vampires, but pretty much everything on tabletop was the Sylvanian vampires because that's pretty much what they sold. So I'm wondering if it's GW going, we're not going to let you do something completely off the wall until we're ready for it. Potentially, I don't know, but it would be. I mean, Neferata, you could have Nagash in there. There's so many cool, the blood dragons.
So this DLC was also one of their first experiments to actually make a lore that could utilize just shit units, basically. So Gorse was the first experiment to try to just have like tier 1 or tier 0 units, basically as zombies, right? And it failed miserably. It was really bad up until Worm 3. Worm 3, he got like really, really strong. Personally, I would actually say this DLC is, I might get a little bit of flack for this one, but it's actually C tier because as of this point, it has not aged well. The only fun thing about it still is Gorse. I personally don't enjoy Volkmar that much. I think like the hunting the books and stuff like that is a weird mechanic. I think it's like on I don't know. He's like the Empire, but like further away from it. So he just gets like this superficial mechanic, which is weirdly better than Manfred's anyway.
I also feel like the books, like, because of how Warhammer works, where you're just constantly fighting in your area, like, you're never just going to be like, right, Volkmar, it's time to sail to Nagaron to find a book. Like, who's going to do that?
Yeah. That is the major problem with it. And they're not worth the effort, basically. You could potentially go, I'm going to send an army off and that's going to like impact what I'm doing back at home, but I'm going to do it. But it's just not worth the effort.
No.
So it's $9 right now without a sale. And you get 5 units across the board for both of them.
What units do you get?
You get corpse cards and Mortis Engine, don't you?
Yeah, corpse cards, Mortis Engines.
I mean, Mortis Engines are pretty good.
Flagellants.
Flagellants are trash. Are we
factoring in price? Because if we are, it's going to get a bit rocky later on. Or are we just going pure content? Because I want just pure content, but we can factor in price if you want.
I mean, it's a DLC that, like, if you're going to buy this one or a different one, right? Like, this is $9, same as, like, a lot of other things. And they just didn't have as much content back in the day, for better and worse.
Yeah, I would agree. C tier. It's C tier. It's unfortunate, but
feels like C is too positive for it, but I think it's just... We might move these scales around as we
need. I mean, let's face it. It's not Norsca, so we need somewhere to dump Norsca eventually.
Yeah,
I can give them their own tier.
No, it's fine. It's Norsca. Norsca Vampire Coast. Vampire Coast can be okay.
Warlord.
S tier because it's got Skarsnik in it, and every DLC, every Greenskin DLC has been a Skarsnik DLC. So
yeah, actually, it has been. It's a good DLC. Belagar is one of my favorite campaigns as well. Skarsnik is the one greenskin I don't actually I actually enjoy kind of.
Yeah, Skarsnik S tier.
I would probably say A tier or B tier, but
yeah, I mean it's not as a DLC. It's not going to give you a huge amount, but it gives you Squig Hoppers, which are probably the best greenskin cavalry unit. So I would say A tier, potentially a high B tier.
Yeah, because the thing you actually get there is Skarsnik. That's like what you get in a Skarsnik and Belagar. Because if you actually go into units, you get Squig Herds, Squig Hoppers, like Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, and Nasty Skulkers. Like those 3 units are what you get.
And all of those units are amazing.
And for Clan Angrund, you get Bugman's Rangers and Bolt Throwers. And Bolt Throwers you don't use. Maybe some of you guys do, and we're gonna get a comment like, "This is peak. I don't understand what you're saying. I hate you."
Have you ever seen that thing try and hit anything that isn't like a double-decker bus not moving? It's garbage.
It is garbage. If you really like bolt throwers, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Basically,
pretty much. It's like if you like Norsca,
the campaigns are kind of cool.
Wrong.
You're just wrong.
And also the campaign mechanics aren't that great either. It's like Belagar is like, oh yeah, you pay 50% more upkeep, and Skarsnik is like you get there and then you get you don't have -2 control or something like that, and then you get like a special building chain that isn't that good.
Skarsnik can't build orcs until he gets.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Skarsnik's was like basically impossible, and then they just moved him to like right next door. So now it's a piece of piss and. Bloody Belagar's just like, what the fuck? Why have I still got hop, skip, and a jump over these mountains?
I mean, in Warhammer 1, though, he had like the scientifically worst possibly made position in the world.
This DLC was just like impossible. Both of them were shit hard.
Yeah, but now they're a lot of fun. So I would say either A or high B. That's my. I mean,
I'm not very favourable to this, and I'd probably put B, so I'll leave the deciding vote to Fred.
Yeah, B. Let's take B. It's good campaigns, and that's what's making it not a C or D tier.
Is it Norsca next?
Wood Elves?
Oh, Wood Elves.
Now it is, after this one, we got a bunch of free stuff. So Grumblers, Warsag, Jade Wizard, Grey Wizard, and then it's the Wood Elves. And Wood Elves are A tier, I would say. I think they're great. I love them.
At release, they were I hated the Wood Elves.
Oh yeah,
at release.
Like one Wood Elves. They were dog.
Yeah, they were terrible. Such a terrible faction.
Honestly, it was my favorite faction in Warhammer 1 and 2 as well. I loved playing Orion. Orion is like my favorite meme dude. Because if anyone could be more like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, it would be Orion. And it's be like, no one throws a spear like Orion. No one hunts a buck like Orion. You know, just keeps on going like that, like constantly. It's we have the song in the chat bot and everything.
He is so cracked these days. It's insane. His wild hunts where it's just like, oh yeah, the deep roots have no cooldown. And all the bonuses you get from your council, yeah, they're doubled.
I should play the Wood Elves again.
He's probably the weakest of the Wood Elf lords now, but he's goddamn my favorite. I love him. It's so much fun.
I've just got PTSD from back in my younger days when I used to play the tabletop. I only had one opponent, and he played Elves all the time. So I've kind of got PTSD from having every single defeat I faced on the tabletop was at the hands of tight-wearing, pointy-eared freaks. So I'm instantly elf racist, but I agree they are quite fun.
They're so good. Who wants to talk about Norsca?
Really? Yeah, Ace here. Then it's
is it Norsca?
No, it's Bretonnia. Bretonnia, then Norsca.
Bretonnia free.
Bretonnia was free though. Yeah, you get Bretonnia for free.
And they're also not on this list.
Yeah, I guess they're not on the list then. But Norsca is D tier. Norsca could be better. They have so much potential. I love like Wulfric's lore and stuff like that is so much cool stuff. He does cool stuff. It has the potential to be like such a cool thing, but it's just
I mean, when we interrogated Sean, we said, why did you give his mechanic to someone else?
Yeah, and he just laughs confused. Like, what?
Who?
What's Norsca? Just completely
so
forgotten what it is.
Like the Eternal Challenger, and they were like, oh yeah, let's just give this to Khorne. There's no one else that needs this. Fuck.
Or Norsca one day. But I did also say that thanks to us meddling with this, it's just going to take even longer before they do anything with CFA.
You're welcome, everybody. Ooh, little breakfast Guinness, Fred.
Don't judge my lifestyle.
I'm not judging.
And now we're into Warhammer 2.
Who was first? Was it Queen?
Was it Tomb Kings?
Hold on, I will check.
Yeah, so someone get the timeline up.
Yeah, I actually take the timelines up here for all of them. So now we have. Why isn't this one in alphabetical then?
Why is it not working?
No, not in.
You've just gone the Steam page. Surely it's in release order.
No, it wasn't on the release order. It was like first one on the list was Thorek. But here, okay, after that one, it's probably cool though, because first one we get like Blood for the Blood God, then it's Mortal Empires, which was a DLC for that one, Thresh, Craven Tale, and then it is Rise of the Tomb Kings, much like you guys said. And I think that's a
BLC, I would say.
I'm not a huge fan of the Tomb Kings. They haven't had any changes. Well, it's not they had some changes in Warhammer 3, but very, very light touches. And I'm just not a fan of some of their playstyle, so I would say B.
I also agree with B. Honestly, it's cool stuff. You're gonna enjoy it a couple of times, especially if you don't play it on Legendary. Legendary gets a little bit. It's not like it's not super difficult. It's just not that fun, honestly, because you can definitely feel like they've been power creeps to hell and back. Now it's like as soon as you get to mid game, it's to shop the armies basically, and that's what can actually. You can use other stuff as well, but the Shopti are the ones who are going to be the MVP of the faction.
I mean, we say every time Tomb Kings come up, but like when they came out, they would have been so much higher. They were like one of the most in-depth, fun, unique campaigns in the game. But then over time, all their mechanics have just been stolen by other factions, and now they just have nothing unique.
I think Tomb Kings were kind of the start of factions that had proper mechanics compared to just existing.
Yeah, Norsca, I would probably argue, was the first one that had that one, but Norsca has a lot of different problems. But I do like Norsca had like the monster hunts and stuff like that, which was a cool thing.
When they
but then in Warhammer 2 they couldn't put it in, and then like whoever had to like recode them to put them into the game and couldn't just merge the branches. You could kind of feel the hatred of 1,000 Suns versus Norsca throughout ever since then. Somebody's just like Norsca, and it was like as soon as somebody in the CA building says Norsca, that person just goes like, oh, what's this? You just feel a shiver down their spine basically every time. You just hate them.
It's so fun for Norsca. It's like over the course of their entire the time they've been released, I think they've been broken for more time than they haven't. Like something has been wrong with them more time than they've just been working as intended.
Yeah, I think the monster hunts are still very hit or miss, and sometimes they just don't work.
I mean, most quests in or a lot of quests in Immortal Empires tend to do that. Like you'll just complete the step and it'll be like, okay, what's next?
Yeah, I played. I was playing Queek the other day, and I played his. I think it's the sword. His sword quest battle, where you're supposed to be ambushed by dwarves, and I spent the first about minute and a half of the battle with just my army on the battlefield and no enemy army, and then suddenly they just appeared, and it's because I was supposed to start an ambush, but the game was like, I don't know what that means. So you just like, I was just deploying my units and going, I wonder where the dwarves are.
It's so weird. Also, I'm actually gonna say as well for Grim the Grave, I'm just gonna go back to that one, is to say, you kind of have to buy that one anyway for the Vampire Counts, because the Mortis engine is like the bread and butter. It's like the best thing you can have for them almost anyway.
Yeah, but
still C tier though.
It's so crazy how that unit like effectively just wants to sit there and not really do anything, and it gets value just by existing.
Yeah, it's fantastic though. It has to be in melee, but it's incredible. I love it.
Very cool.
It does.
But after Rise of the Tomb Kings, we had Queen of the Crone.
Sisters of Avalon DLC.
Yeah. So Alarielle is also like, I like that campaign. Sister of Avalon is one of those one of those units that you need to buy if you're going to be playing the game for any length of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not apart from the fact it gives you access to that unit, it's not a great DLC.
I don't think Crone is. She's not the worst, but she's just very.
No, Hellebrand is fine. She's just a bit generic, and Alarielle is again fine, but it's not a huge difference from any of the other elf campaigns, really. So
it does really,
and just start slightly south.
It really does highlight how much they've changed how they make the DLCs as well. Because I don't know really if the mechanics are what takes time or if it's the units or whatever. Because here as well, the units you got in the entire DLC, right, is the Carapace, Sister of Avalon, Shadow Warriors, Sister of Slaughter, Doomfire Warlocks, and then you got 2 heroes as well. Well, you got the Handmaid, and then you got a Lord, which was Supreme Sorceress. So just from unit side wise, like you're going to want the Sister of Avalon. Like that's a must. And the Supreme Sorceress, you're going to want as well. That's also basically a must.
Yeah, I would say maybe put them in the B tier then, just for the units, not for the lords themselves, because they're fairly generic, but the units, I would say.
Yeah, I would also say so. It's almost C tier, but it's like the units are so, like the Supreme Sorceress and Sister Avalon are so needed for those campaigns anyway. Not just like, it's different between needing and wanting, but like, dang, you're gonna want those units.
Yeah, the Supreme Sorceress is just like the best generic lord, in my opinion, that the Dark Elves have by a country mile, because they can get on the Black Dragon, can't they, at the end? I think.
Yeah,
they do. I mean, they're just the best lord there. Like the other ones have their value as well, but
apart from the generic lord, who is basically, because if you recruit like a Beastmaster, if you have the Rakath DLC, they're basically just the generic lord, but with some extra skills for beasts. So they're basically exactly the same apart from that. See, like,
those kind of suck. I think the Beast Masters, they really need to recheck all those things. Like definitely.
I'm trying to remember the order.
Oh, so it's. Do you want me to say the order for you?
Yes, please.
So after this, we have Curse of the Vampire Coast.
Oh.
Then it's gonna be Prophet and the Warlock, Hunter and the Beast, Shadow and the Blade, Warden and the Paunch, Sister Twilight, and Silence and Fury. I probably went too fast there.
I tell you what, other than the Vampire Coast, nailed it.
Nice.
I'm gonna hate myself, but Vampire Coast is C tier.
I know.
Yeah, C or D tier. Like, dang, they are an awful campaign. I know some people like them, but on Legendary, I think they're goddamn pain.
Did you get the joke? C tier.
Yeah, nice.
C.
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Thank you. But also, they are C tier.
I want to like them so much because it's like, all right, so they're pirates and they're vampires. It's like checks all my boxes. Yeah. But their mechanics are poopy. Their roster is fun, but I imagine on high difficulties you just get shit stomped because everyone just runs through you. Like on normal, you can get away with just a shitload of gunpowder and cheesing, but yeah, it's a shame.
I mean, everything's been power crept there as well, just like the Tomb Kings, right? So it's like They used to have really good artillery and stuff like that, but it's not nearly as good. Like Queen Bess isn't even that good.
I also I feel like their lords are also kind of crap. Like I like Luther Harkon because he's funny. Noxless is like the only one that's really good. Silostra,
like Silostra.
I like her. Whoa, that's fun. And then Aranessa is just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
She sounds just like my mom. Every time my mom gets scared, she would also go like.
We've been playing
every single time
Marvel Rivals a lot, and on one of the maps, when you get to a payload point, it does like the exact same noise, and every single time it makes me laugh. I'm just like, there she is.
I think the problem with the Vampire Coast is I think their units are generally fine. I think they can still stand up, but there has been some power creep. But I think the problem is their mechanics just. I think they need a kind of like a Warriors of Chaos rework, whereby I don't think painting the map with them is what you should be doing. They need like maybe specific ports, which are like, yes, you take these, they become fortified locations which you can then raid from. And I think that would work better. And then you kind of make their faction around that sort of doing that activity. Whereas at the moment they're still just a paint the faction. But.
Yeah, you can, especially as Noxless, you can just like have Galleon's Graveyard or whatever it's called, and then just raise and sack everything else. But you have to like forcefully do that. Whereas I've been playing the Skaven Clans mod, and Clan Scurvy, I think is the pirate one. They cannot take settlements. They just make under empires, and it makes me wonder like why didn't they have pirate coves that don't really work. But if they did work, why didn't you just have it so that like you just place them every time you won a battle? It makes so much more sense.
It's so sad that the pirate codes are so lame. It hurts me because I played a Noctilus campaign where I just tried to put pirate codes into every single coastal settlement, and after I got about halfway, like I still only had enough money for about 2.5 armies, and I was like, well, this is shit. If I put all this work in, I should be rewarded for it. But it's just really bad.
Trailer, however, S tier.
Oh
yeah,
best trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's really good. But like the entire roster is just weird now. I think like the depth guard should be better. Right now, what you're using is like artillery, some guns, and crabs as a front line. Crabs with guns.
I mean, all I do is just I have those they call like the hand, not the cannon ones that just hold the big thing.
Yeah.
I just use those as the front line, and then have like deck gunners or handguns behind them, and then artillery. So I just have like 3 gun lines, like I'm playing a Tall War Empire. But
to be honest, the hand cannons will wreck most things in a single volley, which is probably how they're still sort of keeping up with the other factions. But
yeah, by sheer their roster is fun to mess around with. They're not in D tier.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they're just not in a great place.
No.
Yeah, it's they're close to D tier, but dang. But next up, Prophet and Warlock, universally loved DLC. Reddit had a little vote, and they voted out because it was the start of what they would say is power creep.
Fuck you, Reddit. I mean, you're right, but still. Just because it's power creep doesn't mean it's not fun.
I mean, people always go, this DLC is great, and it's the reason it's great is because of Ikit Claw, because no one ever remembers the other guy.
Claw and Tahini,
whoever it was.
I really liked that in one as well.
Well, you're wrong, but still. I mean, Ikit has got I think the thing is, Ikit has got an amazing mechanic, because it is this sort of idea of you have a way of upgrading your units, which is something that is not particularly unique in gaming in general, but it's something that was very unique to the Total War series. So I think that's the point where people went, holy shit, this is great, we should do more of this. And that's kind of what they did, which is great.
Yeah, what units does he bring, Fred, again? Isn't it a bunch of the weapons teams? Like, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, so for this is like one of the larger DLCs. This is like when they started taking a little bit longer and doing a little bit more stuff, because like 10-in-1, for example, gets Red Crested Skinks, Salamander Hunting Packs, Ancient Salamander, Ripperdactyl Riders, Ancient Stegodons with Engine of the Gods. Engine of the Gods is like the best listener unit basically as well.
Like top 5 unit in the game.
it's just so tanky, does so much damage. Then it has like the laser beam as well, and I laugh every time I use it as well. And the Bastiladon. I'm gonna do a little bit about the ancient, about the engine of the gods as well, because I think it's hilarious. Because everybody always goes like, "Oh, well, they're just the primitive dudes," and then like some little skink is sitting there by a control panel, like beep boop 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 beep boop boop, akatika, and he's like, and it's like reflected on the satellites.
Someone needs to do the scene from Star Wars when the Death Star fires, but just replace it all with skinks.
Yeah.
I did fight a Lizardman battle where I had about 10 engines of the gods, and I created like a bullet hell. The AI I built was Skaven and all these clan rats like Mark.
Level of Returnal, just
and I paused the game and then targeted all these things and created a bullet hell. You could see the AI just go, "What am I going to do?" And they started like trying to turn, and the lasers just intersected them. It was great.
Yeah, they're so good.
And then they get like a bunch of Regiment Renown for those as well, obviously. But then you also have, for AKITs gets the Rattling Gun Weapon team, the Gisales and Doomflayers. So not as many on that side. Tons of Regiment Renown though, especially those from the workshop and things.
You do get the Deathglow Bombardiers though, don't you?
No, isn't that... I swear.
Oh,
who is it?
Yeah. The mortars, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mortars is Shadow and the Blade.
Oh, were they? Oh.
Yeah. That's the only unit that is worth it from that DLC.
True.
Wow.
Yeah. I still think it's S, just because Icky Claw is he's just so goddamn fun, and the nukes, like having a literal tactical nuke, just cinema.
Plus, he starts at Skaven Blight. It's kind of the ultimate Skaven.
Yeah, middle of the map, can go anywhere, do anything.
Yeah, it's S tier.
Yeah. Hunter and the Beast. Oh, I love Hunter and the Beast. Just like in Warhammer 2, that was the Max Warfare, obviously Decay. Absolute dog. And still not great, but Markets was just so much fun in Warhammer 2 with the story campaign in Vortex.
Shut your filthy mouth.
This was also weird because it got 2 Listerman DLCs back to back.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show you can never guess what the CA will do in the DLCs. They just say like one faction, they're like, oh yeah, then they can like fight this and this and this because they have good duels with those, and the CA will go like, nah.
They were probably like, oh well, you know, Tahinoin wasn't the best received. Maybe we should have another go in. And they made Nakai. I'm just like, oh fuck.
You know what? Nakai was not great at release, but he's a lot better now. The only thing I would say is that yes, he is. The only thing I would say is that they tried this thing where you have a vassal faction, and I don't mind that. But the fact they can't build anything really does turn them into this, like, you just end up with this huge swath of territory where you're like, well, I've got 2 armies and I have to try and defend all this. How am I going to do that? And the answer is you can't. So you just kind of have to hope that no one declares war on you. But other than that, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, if you feel that way, that's good for you. Yeah, I like Marcus. I like his heroes. I like that he's a bit more of a natural challenge. Like, it's the only hard campaign that I actually like, because it's more of a mechanical challenge than it is just the enemies just cheating. Like the hostility thing, it just means you're under constant pressure. The Imperial Mandate and the limited units means like you have to really pick what units you have. And the fact that he's just hated by everyone nearby him, it makes for a very intense campaign. And I like the Hunt Marshals and the Firecasters. Right, sorry, Fred, there you go.
For the Empire, you also get the Huntsman General. You get the Archers. Archers I always thought was free DLC for some reason. I don't know why. Huntsman as well. Huntsman I always wanted to have because they had them in SFO for the longest time. And it's just a good, decent unit, honestly. Like, that's just fills a good gap where it should be. And War Wagons. That's what you guess. Hey man, you also get the Regiment Renown, the Black Lions with it. So
and the War Wagon Mortar is actually kind of okay because it has the same power and can move. I'm coping.
Yeah, but mortars shoot over people's heads. So why do you need?
Well, if they get flanked by sneaky lizards, they can ride away.
How can a lizard sneak up on you?
That's a skill issue.
Yeah. And for both of us, like, no.
I'm sorry, Dad.
For the Lizardmen, you get Ancient Croxigors, aka Boxigors.
Awesome.
You get the Feral Dreadsaurian, but also, listen to this, the Dreadsaurian with the Howdah on it.
Nice.
And then you also get the Shredder of Lustria, the renowned Dreadsaurian. And you get Sacred Croxigors. Oh yeah, the Sacred Croxigors are the Boxigors, not the Ancient. The Ancient one is the Lord one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you get Razor Dawn hunting packs.
I never understood the point of those over salamanders, because salamanders just explode fire. Especially if
it's just more armor piercing for like dwarves and flanking dwarves and stuff like that, I think.
I mean, there's always been this problem with the salamanders and the Razordons. Is basically, if you're an army full of dinosaurs, why do you need range support?
Yeah, I mean, they when they do well, they do really well. Both of those, I guess that's what kind of what it does. But most time,
you need them in. They're kind of like chariots in that they need to be in the optimal situation. When they're in the optimal situation, they can do well. But that is such a niche that they're never going to be. That they're very rarely going to be in that situation. So you may as well take something that's a better all rounder.
I don't know. I feel like salamander hunting packs, the fire ones, are like Iron Drakes from the Dwarfs. Like, on paper, they're not actually that good, but when you see them in practice, they just melt things because they're explosions that stagger enemies, and the fire just... It does a lot more damage than it really should.
I think Moss is on to something there, because I talk a lot about like synergies and stuff like that. And like when you take military allies, military ally recruitment, not every single faction will benefit from having that because you don't synergize that well with other things. Like Lizardmen is largely like a mobile wall of palpable violence that just moves forward. So having something standing in the side is like, it doesn't really do anything because the palpable wall of violence is still murdering shit together with magic. The wall just locks everything down, the magic just blasts, and then you have some salamander stuff like that. Like, obviously for multiplayer, it's a different story. But
I think there are certain armies where I think they have like the odd ranged unit, and you kind of get into this point where you're like, well, I don't need that, because if I just lock everyone down and start murdering them, there's nothing for the ranged unit to do. So I may as well just take another unit that can, lock something else down.
I mean, it gives you options. Like, you can play Lizardmen fairly ranged focused if you want, because you've got their artillery stuff. It might not be as good, but, gives you the option of different playstyles, which I'm always up for.
Yeah, worse playstyles.
All right, where are we putting this one?
I would say B tier, personally.
Yeah.
Ooh, Shadow and the Blade.
I think Shadow and the Blade is C tier, and the only thing that is saving that one is the mortars.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah, Malice has got a confusing mechanic. Deathmaster's Niche is actually quite fun, but...
I mean, Malice's only thing was, like, his mechanic has been nerfed, or like, not nerfed, but redone every patch, basically, for the entire Warhammer 2 to make it easier on the player, because he was kind of bad, and people didn't like it. And you can always go, like, some people might say, I like it when it's difficult, because I enjoy being mentally challenged. So... they just, like that, but the only thing he got going for him was being a one-man army, and they nerfed that as well. He still can be a one-man army. It's just weird thing to nerf.
Yeah, I don't mind like negative modifiers as long as there's a choice for it, and I never felt like it was a good choice with Malice. It was just felt like a bad choice. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't a choice I enjoyed making. So, yeah. I mean, you did get the Medusas as well, and things like that, because the units you get here, I can always go through those because maybe people like them now when we started with them. I do like stupid, sexy snake ladies.
Yeah. High Beastmasters, I think they're pretty bad. Okay, I'm actually going to take that back with only mortars, because masters are great. Masters are fantastic. I really like having a angry dude on a Pegasus that is anti-large and just hates things. I enjoy that one. And then you get the Medusas, as you said, and the Scourge Runner Chariots.
Scourge Runner Chariots are trash.
Yeah, I mean, if you have 3 of them, they'll take care of like large units fairly easily, but then you have to, not have 3 of anything else that can deal with stuff as well.
You could take 3 Dark Shard units that are significantly cheaper and can do basically the same thing.
And then for the Skaven, you get Master Assassins Lords, which I never use personally. You get the Eshin Sorcerer, one of the worst lores in the game.
Yeah.
You get the Eshin Triad, one of the most confused units in the game.
Yeah.
Poison Wind Mortars, one of the highest DPS per like bang for a buck units in the entire game.
Friggin' amazing.
Don't you have Warp Grinders?
Yeah, Warp Grinders as well.
They're bizarre.
Warp Grinders are weirdly very good.
Yeah, only during a siege.
Well, no. They're actually, if you mosh pit, if you've got a big mosh pit and you just slap down that massive AoE, it is actually pretty damaging.
Yeah.
But then it ends, and then they have like 6 defense or something.
I think they're fairly okay sturdy, but they're one of those units that if you haven't managed to get them in the good position and see what they can really do, they're not really good, because just like using them as a normal unit doesn't really work. They need to be like a specialized unit all the time. I mean, now that I read about the stuff that you actually get, just from the units and stuff, and from the sheer shenanigans of the Eshin campaign, I could almost think about like low B tier or something like that, but C tier is fine as well.
They sort of skirt the line, don't they?
Yeah. I think it really depends on the patch for this one, because like Malice and Snitch, their mechanics are actually like Snitch's mechanics are, in theory, some of the most broken in the game. Can't you still just like nuke a faction from the game completely?
Yeah,
However,
every 100 turns, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, you're not going to use it much.
So once then, basically, because I mean, who's ever reached turn 200 on a?
Yeah, the contracts I don't really care about too much personally, because I think they're also kind of weird. All I do is just get like gutter runners with poison anyway with him, and just like win the entire campaign with just that army, because it's just weird. And then I put on a Naruto soundtrack.
Which is fine. I mean, kiting units is fine 1 or 2 battles, but the Order Resolve is terrible. So you're going to have to fight every battle, and every battle turns into this long, protracted kiting session, which then quickly gets very tiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a Gorst campaign, right? Very cool seeing waves after waves of zombies not dying, but after a while, when you notice that you do that like 2 times an hour for a couple of hours, you're like, it's cool.
Yeah.
The Warden and the Paunch, the peak of Warhammer 2 player counts.
I'm going to say that's an easy A tier to S tier.
I agree with A. I'm not sure. Is it S? Is it quite S?
I think the Grom Cauldron mechanic is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it adds a really fun and different start position, both for the High Elves and the Greenskins. And if you play Eltharion, you've got a whole load of unique units that you can play, so that makes that campaign very unique. And also, you get the Eltharion's dungeon as well, don't you? The sex dungeon.
Athol Tamhara.
Not every dungeon has to be a sex dungeon. We talked about this. Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Well, this is why we stopped the sessions of Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, we're like. Anyway,
I'm just saying that you can do anything you like to a dragon in a dungeon.
Okay. So the mechanics for this DLC, the Grom's Cauldron is very fun, and Eltharion's is something. I like his Lord entrapment and interrogation thing. I think it's kind of fun. I wish it did a bit more with it, but it's funny.
I personally love that he's like the grim dude who's like just talking about the defense and how his father was murdered and now seeking revenge, and then he has like the little Sailor Moon heart on his helmet. I really like that.
Yeah, he definitely earns the name of High Elf Batman. Especially from the trailer.
He's High Elf Christian Grey. That's who he is.
Oh my! Who is basically Batman?
Alithanar is Batman.
But in this DLC, you get like tons of units that are like S tier units. Basically, you get like the Archmages, the Lords, which are the best generic Lord, hands down. Like they are insane. You get like bound spells. You make like Master Mundi look like a goddamn joke, basically, and you get on a dragon later on as well. You get Rangers, which are fine. Silverine Guards, which is like one of the best front lines you can have. And they get them at tier 3.
Yeah.
You get the Warlines of Strays, which are like super cute and you don't need to use them, but knowing that they're there, nice. You get the Arcane Phoenixes. And then, you get a goddamn ass ton of Mistwalker units. Like the Knights of Torgaval, which are just like my favorite units, the Hippogriff Knights.
And then Grum's side isn't too bad either. Is this the DLC where you get like the Rogue Idol and Pump Wagons?
Yeah. So he gets like the giant River Hag Troll hero, which is the first time I was like, that's actually pay to win, because they are the only way really to get replenishment in your armies for a long time. Or they don't have anything for that yet either, right? It's just the giant River Hag Troll.
I think so.
And then you have the Snortling Pump Wagons. You get the River Trolls, the Stone Trolls.
Stone Trolls are great.
Rogue Idols. And except for the Pump Wagons are a little bit more of an MP unit, or like if you really want to, style on the AI, I guess.
They're a niche, they're kind of if you use them early on, they're pretty good, but they quickly drop off. Yeah.
But River Trolls and Stone Trolls, they're really solid. Rogue Idols, pretty cool as well.
I think is fine.
I would say like A or B tier, but like they get so many cool units and the campaigns are fairly cool as well. I'm not a Greenskin fan, but I guess still cool stuff. The high up stuff does take it up a bunch.
It's pretty good.
And then
that is the Twisted and the Twilight, one of the best trailers. Again.
Yeah, I love that trailer.
Yeah,
this is a hard S tier.
Yeah, it is.
I would probably say that as well.
I was going to R to keep some suspense, but nah.
Yeah. I was going to wait for what you guys wanted to say, but I really like it as well. It's a ton of fun.
It's not quite as overpowered as Ikit, because monsters just are inherently not, in my opinion, as good as weapons teams, and you don't have a nuke, but like you still get all the lab fuckery. It's still loads of fun. And then the Sister of Twilight, you get all the fun of the Wood Elves, and then you get the Forge of Death, which has been reworked like 16 times because it was dog shit. But it's all right now.
I think it's like super funny because every time I play Thros, it's like, oh, I mutate these monsters, and you like kill off armies really easily, and like big monsters go in, explode, and like kill off all the infantry basically, and then you just murder everything else. And then you do that, and then you're just like, I'll get like an extra army to support this place, and you just do like a weapon team, a normal one, and that you just like is so much better than the most mutated monster armies there.
It's like, I don't need to explode all my own units to win this battle. Crazy.
I think Throt and Throt's mechanic is like, people will go, oh, no one in Total War likes negative modifiers. Like, no, I like the fact, I quite like the fact that if you keep piling bonuses on this guy, he might melt. Like, that's fine, because that's my choice, right? I can go, I'll take the chance, and if it goes wrong, I can always try again, and that's fine. It's going to take time and resources, but I can still try that. And I think the fact that it's all based on those monsters, which you're right aren't as good as the weapon teams, but because it's based on that, you want to use those units over the weapon teams, which is exactly what that mechanic should be doing. So yes.
Yeah, it's honestly just a good campaign. They make something that you wouldn't use otherwise, and it's fun enough to use. So it's just great, honestly.
Yeah, plus adding the grow fats, just constantly giving you monsters. It's like, well, you may not have ever used those monsters before, but because they're free, you might as well.
Yeah, grow fats also a fantastic mechanic, honestly. Like, oh yeah, rat ogres. Yeah, okay then, basically.
Sister of Twilight not as exciting, but still good.
The sisters are there, and also if you talk to them in diplomacy, then the blonde one will be mean to you, which I quite like. Anyway,
the units that you get for the Thros are like Gorge. You get the Packmaster, great hero, absolutely fantastic. You get the Wolf Rats. You get the Mutant Rat Ogre, which is really good, the one you start with, and will quickly fall off at like turn 10. And then you get the Brood Horrors, which are also like just great units.
They're so fast for something so big.
For the units for the Wood Elves, you get Ariel. Ariel was like controversial at first because people were like, no, she's not as strong as Croak, and she should be stronger, but she's like plenty strong. She's fantastically like insano mode strong. The only thing I can say there is that she should start with Orion. Like Orion should just start with Ariel straight away.
And Crone only does one thing, and that's explode fools. So
yeah,
but he does it so well.
He does do so well. Yeah.
You also get the Spellweaver Lords. Personally, I never used them, but I mean, nice to have the options there, I guess. You get Zotes.
Oh, I love Zotes.
Zotes are cool. Great Stag Knights, also great, fantastically fun.
Very
and
cool.
you get the Blade Singers, which a lot of people like.
Yeah, that campaign isn't as exciting like the Forge of Death. I think we got a build. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but we got the build. And I think I was making my videos, and then halfway through, they were like, all right, we've changed it. And I was like, okay. And then it came out, and then within like a week, they changed it against my video. It was just immediately 2 times out of date. I'm like, cool. But
yeah, they changed the Forge a couple of times. Yeah, for the better, though, for the better.
Definitely.
Like, the sisters are still insane mode OP, though. Like, they are broken beyond belief still.
They are great. This is the DLC where they changed up what the Wood Elf mechanics were.
They all rework.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, definitely S tier.
Yeah. Right, the last DLC of Warhammer 2, The Silence and the Fury.
S tier.
I'm tempted to agree.
Let's say A tier or S tier, but I can go in S tier with you guys if you want to. But like A tier is fine, I think.
Oxyotl is the only fun Lizardman campaign.
All right. I can see that. I don't agree, but I can see why people think about why you wouldn't be alone with that.
He's the only Lizardman faction with decent mechanics, because the only other ones with mechanics will be what's his name? Teehee, and who has his tablet thing, and Nakai, who you both hate. So Oxyotl is basically the only Lizardman with decent faction with a decent mechanic, and Torok is a Minotaur boy. So what's not to like? So S tier.
I don't dislike Nakai. I just don't think I think the faction could use a little bit of tweaks with the vassal mechanic. Also, in Warhammer 2, he never had any money, but also he was the most expensive lord in upkeep in the entire game. He had like $650 to just have Nakai.
Yeah, he does like skipping straight into the middle of the enemy army and then getting surrounded.
Well, I love his cannonball roll though. Warms my heart every time, and then he immediately dies afterwards.
I like it when he skips around and he's like, da, 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 da.
He just, it's the way he's so happy. He's like, yay, happy crocodile.
People getting paid 650 gold per turn.
Tell me about it. Yeah, so I think Oxyotl has got a great mechanic. It's really fun, and it's even better in Warhammer 3 where it lets you go all the way, all over the place, which is great. And Torok has, I mean, he's basically a Beastman Lord, but he does have the Rivers of Blood mechanic, I guess, which is fine.
Rampage.
Rampage.
Yeah, and I know some people. I never really got on with that, to be honest. I like Torok as a lord, but I never tried to do the I'm going to bounce between 50 settlements in one turn thing.
Not lived.
But for the heroes, though, for Torox, for example, you got the Doom Bull hero, which is fine, I guess.
He's great. He punches people to death, which is amazing.
I usually grab the shaman instead. I think that's like just the better lord most of the time, because then you get like the magic straight away. You don't have to think about like the shaman recruitment rate and stuff like that.
Were they a DLC for the Beastmen DLC or for this DLC? I seem to remember them being added later.
Oh yeah, maybe they are. Yeah, I mean, like I just never used the Doom Bull, but I think the shamans might be free DLC.
Yeah, but for which one? Because if it's free DLC for this, or is it free DLC for the Beastmen, or is it for both?
No, I think it's just for Beastmen, isn't it?
I think all the free LCs are based on. Wait, are they? Oh, it's so confusing these days. I'm so confused about what.
Yeah, because Draika is like, if you own all of the Wood Elf stuff.
I thought Draika was just base Wood Elves. See? We play this game for a living and we don't know.
It's probably because we get given all the DLC, so we just have it by default.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm just going to say that I never used the Doom Bull Lord regardless, because I used the Shaman anyway.
You haven't. You've not lived. Yeah, so definitely, it definitely does seem like Warhammer 2. ended on a real high, didn't it?
For sure.
Yeah. You also got the Wargore hero, which is nice. Not as cool as the Doombull, but like good. You got the Tuskor chariot, which is like actually pretty good as a chariot. You got the Gorgon, which is the 4-armed standing upright, and you get the Jabberslith, which just hobbles around and it's fun.
It costs one whole. What's it called to make? I can't remember the terminology they used.
Oh yeah, Charlemagnes.
There you go.
16 Charlemagnes.
16 Charlemagnes. Yeah, the Jabberslith is probably my favorite unit in the game, just because it looks so hideous, and also the way it desperately tries to fly and then just belly flops, and the amount of damage it can do is ludicrous. Love those guys.
If I was to get like a little plush toy of any monster or unit in the game, you'd want the Jabberslith. That'd be so cool. Ugly squish
amazing.
thing.
Who wouldn't? God damn, as a plushie, that would be great.
It would be.
Let's make that Warhammer.
Yeah, if Games Workshop, it'll be £2,000 and it'll be this big.
It'll be like printing money.
I mean, like everything.
And the Listman got the Skink Oracle hero.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And we got the Chameleon Stalkers, which are also fine. Got the Kotal, the flying thing that bugs out quite a lot in melee.
The emotional sport snake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get the Feral Troglodyte. And one of my favorite ones, because they just have like a Swedish letter in one of the dinosaurs' names. We get the Geltblom's Hot Terror. Nice. It's always nice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the Coatl is kind of dog, but you can, if you just stack all of your units under the Coatl and move towards the enemy, they will just be like, what the fuck is going on? There's no army. They don't put it together. It's great. At least they did in Warhammer 2 when I made the video for it, but... Yeah,
that's fair. Honestly, it is a support monster, so it's not supposed to go into melee damage. It does have bound spells and things like that. It's not like useless or anything like that.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, all right. I'll concede to S tier. I would probably say A tier personally, but like S tier is fine as well.
Let's let Warhammer 2 go on a high, you know.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Then Warhammer 3.
The Ogre Kingdoms. Thank God for that rework.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I came in. Otherwise, I think the Ogre Kingdoms would have been probably a C to D tier.
Yeah, they've been down there with Norsca.
Yeah.
But after the rework, I think they are a lot of fun.
Are they A or are they B? Is my question, I would say.
I mean, it is an entire new faction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that, I would say A tier, personally.
Yeah, I like that both Lords have a little unique mechanic. They're not that, goodness me, they're not that crazy. But it's something.
I mean, Grease's mechanic is so much better than Scrag's. Like, so much better.
Yeah, I like it. I like the camps. The Ogre Kingdoms is just fun to play and functional to play, most importantly, these days.
Yeah.
I still don't love their roster, but I think it's just because they have a playstyle I don't really vibe with all that much, because it's just like big men run at thing and run away and run at thing.
Yeah, also have Lead Belchers, is also one of my favorite units. Lead Belchers are so much fun.
Yeah, very cool.
The ogres are an army where I go, you know what? If you wanted to play a ranged army, you could totally do that with ogres.
Yeah.
Scrap launchers, iron blasters, lead belchers. It's just hilarious to watch the enemy army just get like absolutely pelted with heavy artillery.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm living on the high from the still, so A tier, maybe they're going to go be demoted to B tier once I've gone on board with them and see all the flaws or something. But yeah, I can agree on the A.
Pins of Chaos.
Are they better or are they worse than the Chaos Warriors?
I would say they're S tier.
Yeah, we already talked about this. They're S tier. Chaos Warriors with the champion of Chaos are also S tier.
Yeah.
I ain't got an image for that. So too bad.
So that's what we're doing. No, I think that it was a great DLC. All of the factions felt complete. All the lords felt different. Just generally great. Although I'm still very confused as to why most of them have their last sort of like their unique skill tree point be making them demonic and so therefore worse.
Yeah. it's kind of weird, especially also for people like Archaon who always hated everything about that.
Did we interrogate Sean about why they think demonic is good, or did we leave that one out? I can't remember. Maybe for next time.
Left that one out, I think. Yeah, next time. Why is demonic so bad?
Yeah. Why do you think it's good? And also leadership aura. What the fuck is that about?
I did ask them about that though afterwards. Like we said, it was one of those things that I forgot to ask, but I asked afterwards. But I will take that for another time, I guess.
Yeah, Champions of Chaos, easy yes.
Also Champions of Chaos, fun fact about it, has the most amount of units of any Total War DLC ever. Mandate of Heaven for 3 Kingdoms used to be the one where you had like 40 units or something like that, 41 units, and now we have like 42 units. Granted, a lot of them are reskins. It's like Nurgle Marauders and blah, blah, blah. Different god variations, but it is, this one has over 50 new units actually.
That's pretty good, I mean, a lot.
Yes, some people complain about the recolors and but like they do have different stats and they do work very, very slightly differently. It's like that Skaven Clans mod has a shitload of clan rat variants and Skaven Slave variants, but they're all a little bit different, so I don't mind. And you only see them you don't see them all at once. Like if you're playing the Nurgle guy, you'll see the Nurgle ones. If you play the Khorne guy, you see the Khorne guy. So it's fine. I don't mind.
Also, this was a pretty good callback as well to Grim in the Grave, because that one was $9, right? This one is $16. So the other one had 5 units. Now it's 50. Now, more isn't always better, but you also get 4 fairly unique factions to play, considering they are like the same faction. They are unique from each other. It's, not Valkia. Valkia is probably the least. She probably need like a little bit of tweaks now for her bloodlust stuff.
She was doomed from the start. Even in the trailer, she was getting fucked up.
Yeah, weird enough.
What bizarre choice for Khorne. Right, so all the other lords, let's make them look really strong. Valkia, let's see her getting shit stomped by I can't even remember who it was. She got beat, and Cody made that great tweet of that meme image. I ain't posting that shit.
I can't remember what it did. I'm sure it was good though.
Have you ever seen that thing where it's like, oh, I'm about to go fuck this guy up. JK got my ass beat. I'm not posting that shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's Valky's also like such a badass in the lore. She only loses once in her entire life, basically. She gets fought to a standstill by a werebear, which is a badass. And then, she gets fought to standstill a couple of times, also by Morskin. But I don't know if that counts as a loss, though. I wouldn't say so personally. But then she is at the very, very end, where everybody loses, I guess.
Chaos Dwarves.
S tier.
Yeah, I would also say S tier.
I have to know the price. I have to know the price.
I mean, I know the prices are hot, but video games tend to have not increased in price for quite a while, and I know that everyone's wages haven't really increased in a while either, but costs have, and so things are gonna cost more. And sure, it's not great, but
I mean, the DLC in itself is pretty good, even accounting for the price in some ways. But the problem was that every other DLC that has been highly, rated has also had a bunch of sweeping changes to the map. Otherwise, you have had a lot of content together with those big updates and DLCs. So Prophet and Warlock did change how you play Skaven. They also changed the hunger mechanic, right? Wasn't it in the food mechanic? Was that in that one? I think so, almost. And then you got the big Wood Elf rework with Twist and Twilight. You got the Beastmen rework with the other one. Got more Immortal Empires and the rework for Warriors of Chaos as well for the... it was just big changes for a lot of stuff in Champions of Chaos. All of them had really, really big changes. And now it's when we stop doing that. And now it's also when the prices are increasing. So it's going to be even worse because we're not getting as much. If you didn't buy it, you got nothing.
Yeah. It was I think the fact that it was 3 lords And there was very obviously a third lord. Like, I can't remember who the guy is, but I think you can confederate him using the tower, and he's like a named lord in the lore. So there's like no reason that they couldn't have just made him another lord and given him like something basic. None of them have unique mechanics, so it doesn't really matter. It felt like, it didn't feel lazy necessarily, but it just felt like they were like, that'll do. They didn't have the special final seasoning, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I really like the campaign. The Chaos Dwarfs have great campaign mechanics, but I would say that a lot of their units aren't actually that good. Like their initial, apart from the Dreadquake, their artillery is very meh, and the Kadai are pretty bad. So you've basically got Bull Centaurs, Dreadquakes, and the Infernal Guard as being like, yeah, these guys are great, and everything else is kind of trashed here.
Who are those guys with the fire glaives?
You also have all the blunderbusses. You got the laser rifles.
The Infernal Guard with fire glaives, great, but they are quite high tier, and also you're going to struggle to get them because of the campaign mechanic. So you kind of end up in a situation where you're kind of, and it kind of works for Chaos Dwarfs because they are supposed to be this. They're a very small population backed up by this huge sort of slave population. But unfortunately, in Total War, the slave population, like trash tier units, don't do very much. That you can, unless you're playing Gorse with Zombles, you're not going to be able to do very much with like tier 1 or 2 units. So you need those high tier units, especially in Legendary.
Unless you have the legendary hero.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of ones that are trying to do the tier 1 unit memes like Dryka successfully, but it's definitely not a lot of them that can do this.
Yeah.
So the Chaos Dwarfs also have, like, you have to use Gordus a lot at the start.
Yeah.
To like supplement it, because once you get like a Hobble Gobble army that is fully upgraded, they're pretty goddamn strong. Like they're gonna be able to do a lot. But like you say, there's a lot of like weird stuff that you're probably not going to use that much.
I love the campaign mechanics, and I think if the Chaos Dwarfs were like a template for what they do in future Total War games, I would love that, because it's so much more involved and it's so much more interesting than I'm just going to paint the map. You actually had to put thought into it, which is what I like.
Yeah. The trains also go really wrong during the early access. I think we're allowed to talk about that, how fucked up they were. Because we ended up with like 2 train units, but before, couldn't you like build a train that was like big?
Yeah, now you just have like a unit that is just 2 smacked together, but before that you could like add on stuff, but it just didn't work at all.
Yeah, it's a real shame, because the reason the Chaos Dwarf artillery is so bad is because if you recruit a magma cannon, you get 1 fucking magma cannon because it's on the back of a train for some reason. Now, if you could build a train and go, I'm going to have 4 of these, suddenly you've got a battery of, magma cannons. Great, that makes more sense. But it always kind of feels like, oh, I've recruited a Death Strike rocket. What do I get? You get 1 rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely be improved upon. But I love the Chaos Dwarfs. I don't really mind that you will be using some units more than others, things like that.
That's natural.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that I have with them is that they're all so goddamn close together. Every single campaign is like, take over starting area, fight Grimgor.
Yeah, it's a shame they didn't just like stick one in the middle of like in Lostria or something just for funsies.
Yeah, I mean,
that time it was like 1 block over to the top. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, Ostanka, it kind of gets that problem as well, because...
Oh, we'll get to Ostanka.
Yeah, but it was so weird because everybody said like, oh, well, they're too close together. And then they're like, okay, we'll have somebody really far away. We're going to create a character that's supposed to be really close to the homeland and take that one away. Because they couldn't just taken like one of the greedy, like ultra capitalists. Like, yeah, I'm out searching for riches. And people being like, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
no.
That's understandable.
Of the woods.
So, talking of Ostanka.
Shadows of Change.
I'm going to say B tier. It's much maligned, but I'm going to say B.
Anders?
I don't think it's as bad as Norsca. I think if I was, let my heart vote, then it'd definitely be in the bottom tier, because goddamn, that DLC launch has pissed me off so bad.
Yeah, dude, I've just recently, a couple of months ago, shaken off all the bad mojo we all had to suffer through there. The 6 months of like just awfulness.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was the launch. It was the message of like, if you don't buy this DLC, the game fucking dies. I'm going to take it out back and shoot it like the family dog.
Dang. Yeah.
It's just so,
all right.
yeah.
Let me explain the B tier, right? Let me put my case forward to you. Coming at it from someone who doesn't know the drama, right? Just looking at it for what it is, you get 3 lords, you get Yuan Bo, who starts in Lustria, which is different, but also kind of connected to Cathay, so that's kind of okay, although he is the administrator of Cathay, so again, that's kind of a weird placement, but fine. And he has a unique mechanic-ish. You have Ostankia, who probably has the most broken mechanics in the game, but also the most funny. And yes, her placement doesn't make sense, but it at least is a different position for Kislev, for lords that tend to start quite close to each other. And then you have the Changeling, who is a very unique, if completely fucking broken faction, which at least gives you some interesting things to do. So whether it's worth the cost is debatable, but I would say it is mid-table.
I would make the argument for C tier. I find Yuan Bo and Ostankia to be very not good. Like, Yuan Bo has the compass. Woo! Who fucking cares? And then Mother Ostankia, yes, it is hilariously broken to just ship someone off to a magical forest. However, her mechanic is so boring to use because it's just like, all right, I'm going to make these trinkets, put them on my units, next turn do the exact same fucking thing. It's just so grindy. I just find it so dull. But
it is. But I've never laughed so hard and long as just watching Malekith have to walk all the way home from Cathay.
I agree on B tier though, because personally I really like Wanbo. He's cool. He's a nice lord to play. He's too easy though a little bit, but it's a nice. After the nerfs, he's kind of fine. You can still kind of conquer at least one province every single turn. The turn and more there off as well. So like turn 70, you'll have like 100 provinces. But I like playing down. It's nice steamrolling. Changeling is like
he might have it slightly harder now that you've got Skull Taker down there as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I need to actually try that one out. That's a good one. And then Ostankia, I kind of agree. That is a shit campaign. I don't know what they were thinking, honestly. My sub alert is Charlie singing like crawling out of the vents in It's Always Sunny, singing "There's a spider deep in my soul," and then so like the spider armies, only spider armies is like a fun meme. Like dang, craft the trinkets, put the trinkets on the buckets, and then you like do that. It's just not that fun. She's a weird campaign.
It is, yeah, it is a weird campaign.
And Changeling we talked about so much. It's like great idea, poor execution.
I think that's the problem with the Changeling is the idea is that it could be a really fun different campaign. The problem is it's so broken and not in a, oh my god, this is so easy. But I guess you could argue that it's an unkillable faction. But then does that really? I mean, how many people have actually lost a Total War campaign?
Yeah, I mean,
so I don't think that matters. But the fact is that you have you have this amazing scheme. Every single scheme you pull off is just a complete fucking disaster. It's just why go through all the effort? So it's just sad.
Yeah. But I still agree with like B tier. It's too expensive still. You don't get that much cool stuff like in the grand scheme of things. You don't get like bad stuff in it, but still.
There's nothing you need.
What units do we get with this one?
You get like a shit ton of them now because they did add a couple of them. Let's see if I can find it here. If they ever added.
Make up for the shitty campaigns.
You got the Jade and Jet Lions, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Who I never used.
The Wardrum, the Crowmen. The Celestial General, who is just...
I hate that War Drum just because the AI recruits like 6 of them and they're all unbreakable for some reason. Okay,
so here we go with all of the... You got 44 new units.
Jesus
so it's like the Celestial Generals. This is just alphabetical now because they don't put them up on the Steam page anymore. But you got the Akshina Ambushers, Celestial Generals, Celestial Lions, Changebringers, Cockatrices, the Rushinas, Exalted Hero of Siege, the Frostworm, Gate Master, Great Moonbird.
Wasn't the Frostworm when they had to rename the unit from Norsca?
Yeah.
Classic.
And the Hag Witches, Incarnate of Beasts. It's like the only thing I actually like think is cool from this entire DLC, I think. Well, the Champion of Scenes is actually
the ambushes were really good, but didn't they nerf them because they were too good?
Yeah, they used to have armor piercing and they don't have it anymore.
It was insane. Yeah. They were so cracked.
Yeah, then we had the Jade and Jet Lions. We had the Kislevite Warriors, which is like also pretty bonkers that they had something so defensive. Also a little bit pay to win one. Yeah, and then we have the Mutalith Vortex Beast, which is really cool. You got the Onyx Crone. You got Saitang the Watcher, which I don't understand why we would like, jump over there to help. It's like in the tooltip, and then he's just like, whoop, and then he just lands and does very little. A cool dude though when he starts shooting, but he's just a bone giant, isn't he? And then we had the Blue Scribes. Actually fun. I like those.
Yep.
The Golden Knights. I'm trying to not mention the Red Renown here. The Things in the Woods.
A weird unit to give to Kislev.
Sangors and Shangu War Drum.
Also known as the War Drum.
Yeah, the Things in the Woods, they got lore changes, right? Weren't they retconned from release of this DLC?
Yeah.
So they used to be like...
They used to be Beasts of Chaos, so...
Yeah. And now they're like forest spirits or something?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the thing with Ostankit is that you could make you could make some really interesting lore there. You could have made her a very unique sort of side faction to Kislev. And instead they just kind of had this weird thing. I don't know. It's just an odd faction, to be honest, in the wrong place, in my opinion.
For sure.
All right, now for the good stuff. Elspeth von Draken, S tier.
Yeah.
So good.
No discussion needed. Super duper units, excellent mechanic, fun campaign, second
cool
most played campaign last year.
Yeah, Malachi I would also say S tier. He's pretty fun.
Agreed. Tamar-Chan,
a lot of fun.
Tamar-Chan, Uwu, I would probably say A or B tier.
No, S tier. Tamar-Chan's great.
I think he's not as good as the other ones because you just won't play that as many times as the other ones. So it's like a fun campaign, but it's an adventure. You do that once, twice.
Yeah, he's got good direction at least, but
all right, I'll agree.
Good reworks though, and it was a return to form from the Warhammer 2 stuff because
thank goodness.
And it was actually all of these DLCs were so good that it actually made everyone happy again after Shadow Change. That is like the biggest thing. Had it been like being built on the back of better DLCs, it would have been just an insanely good reception for everybody.
Yeah,
but
Thrones of Decay needed to be a banger, and it. I think when it came out, I was very like, this is all right, and now looking back and it's like, that DLC fucking is so good. It rocks.
Yeah, I'm glad they decided to change it into the single character DLCs. I think that makes so much more sense. Yeah,
and they're gonna retcon even. Well, they're gonna change Shadow Change as well. So I don't know how this is probably just gonna be that ranking we might have to change at some point. All
right, so if you could buy each of them individually, where would you put them? Just imaginarily.
Juan Bo probably A tier, Changeling B, and Ostankit C probably. Myself.
I would say Changeling C. It's a great idea. The execution is just so bad.
Fair enough. I'd probably put Ostankit very low, but that's just me. I just hate it. Golgi, is he an S? Because he's just like the other ogres, but like plays without settlements.
Golgi is too easy, way too easy. I tried him now after the nerfs and stuff like that, and he's still like richer than God, no real problems whatsoever ever, and just has so much. He's such an easy time. It's way too easy to be anything at all, I think.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, though. I mean, overall, his mechanics are a lot of fun, but I just can't see myself playing him more than once, really.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the problem, right? That's what happens when they're too easy or that you don't like, and like it's fine, but I won't play it more. So
on the plus side, just because you have the option, you could go and you know if the first campaign you go to Nagaron, second campaign you can go to Cathay. You can just go in a completely different direction because you have that option.
Yeah, but their victory conditions is to take Null.
Yeah, you can do that. That's fine. No, who goes to the victory conditions anymore?
Still think that's, you know, it's S tier. Then you replay those pretty often.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I would say A tier.
Yeah, I would almost say B tier. Honestly, he's just way too easy.
I don't know. I think A is fair. I just like how you can just dash around the map. It's just a good like chill campaign. You don't really need to put too much thought into it. Just like, oh, I'm just going to teleport over here, do this contract, and then I'll just see how I feel.
If we were to say low A, high B, sort of like staggering that line a little bit.
Yeah, I can agree on that. I don't honestly care enough about him to argue at all. It's just
go bad. He's go bad. No, he's go fine.
I really, really wanted to like Gorbad.
Same.
But I think he's a B.
Yeah. But also, I don't particularly enjoy greenskins at all. So take what I say with a
greenskin
racist on that one.
I just find his mechanic to be so dull. It's just so boring.
I like the idea of it is kind of, I think it's trying to build on things like the Clan Molder mechanic where it's trying to make you do different things, which is fine. But because it's so specific, it makes it kind of tedious to try and recruit the requisite units.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is the problem. That I think that's having thought about it. I think the problem is not the mechanic in general. It's the trying to look down the list and go, right, which of these do I actually want to do, rather than just be like, I can just go, I'm going to make my squigs better and my orc boar boys better and this better in this army, and that's what that is. And instead of having to go, right, I'm going to need three of these and two of these, but I also need two of these, but I can't recruit those there, so I need to go down here to get. And it just feels like a real faff to actually get the units. That I think is where the problem is. And Gorbad feels very generic in every other sense.
Yeah, I would also say like B tier is definitely like the most like, this is fine.
Yeah, it's like,
this is fine. It's not below standards. If anything, they can aim for trying to make B tier stuff if they want to. But A or S tier are better.
Yeah, I would call B tier like if you look at this Lord, or this mod pack, Jesus Christ, DLC pack, and you think, this looks fun to me, then you'll probably have fun with it. But if you don't, you're not missing out much.
C would be if you really, really like the idea of this, then go for it. And D would be, do not buy this under any, just don't.
Grim in the Grave is almost like needed for to play vampires. But yeah.
Who plays vampires now? They haven't had a DLC and got what?
I love vampires. I played them just last month. I play them like every month.
Someone's got to keep playing them so that Warhammer team gets day and like, oh, people are playing them. We need to rework them.
Wait, it's just one man.
It's Skull Taker.
You know what? I had a lot of fun with Skull Taker. But on the other hand, I did quit that campaign because I had 74 Blood Host armies, and it was just a ball ache to move.
Yeah, I think honestly, Blood Hosts are a mistake. I never liked them before the rework, and now I definitely don't like. I think they trivialize too much add-ons.
It is a weird mechanic.
It's like these characters really enjoy fighting, so therefore they will hire people to fight for you or something temporarily. They'll have interns doing it for you.
It's that thing of. I don't know. Like, obviously, the draw for the Total War series is the battles, right? And having the campaign bit to go, I'm gonna take this army from battle to battle through the campaign. That's what I love about this game, right? Is the fact that I can have this army and I can grow. And I think that's why people like those mechanics, like the Akit Claw mechanic and the Throp mechanic, because you can upgrade your units effectively. You can take this. It's like an RPG, isn't it? You can upgrade this unit. You can go, oh, this is great. Now I've made this guy way cooler, fantastic, and now I can take them into a fight and I can watch them pummel some guys into jam. That's what I want. And then you just have this army where you go, I do not give a shit what happens to this. Like, it could be hit by a train. I would have no strong feelings about that. and here are 74 of them. Enjoy. I'm like, but now I have to move these fuckers. This is just admin. This is bureaucracy. Why do I want to do this?
Yeah. I feel like Skulltaker's mechanic outside of the Blood Host, the Skulls thing, I just find it to be very nothing. It's like, oh, you attack these legendary lords and you get this currency and you use that to upgrade your cape and you get these abilities, and it's like, well, the abilities are cool, but I'm just going to fight lords anyway, so it's not forcing me to do anything unique. It's just rewarding me for playing exactly how I would anyway, which is just a bit basic, really.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bloodhost made this completely counterintuitive. Like you said, it became more bureaucratic, almost like clicking around, like actually enjoying the fights. If anything, Bloodhost
Skull Abacus, like, how many king armies do I have?
If anything, the Bloodhost should just give you like army spawns inside a battle, something like that. Yeah, just get like a slaughter brute inside the battle at the highest tier or something. So you just can spawn that in a battle and you get that kind of like nukes instead.
Or just do it like the growth vats. Like, it just fills up a bar and then you empty it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, blessings from the Blood God, and you can just instantly summon monsters.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been great. That would have been fine. But they have toned it down now, because I think the problem was that the Skulltaker, one of his top abilities, which you could kind of race to, was that every time you defeated an enemy lord in battle, a skull host was spawned, a blood host was spawned.
Yeah.
And the problem with that was it didn't specify Skulltaker. So if you had a blood host kill like a small garrison, it would still. And if that garrison had one lord in it, for example, like the AI just recruited one lord, put him in the garrison, and then you killed it, you got two.
Yeah. And then you also had another one. So then all of them would also be healed up.
Yeah, so eventually I had Skulltaker sort of leading the charge, but I had Blood Host just crossing across Ulthuan in a wave, which was quite fun to watch. But the fact it took me about 10 minutes every turn just to move all of these fucking armies, after about 3 turns of this, I went, I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm so bored of this, and then I quit the campaign.
Yeah. It's counterintuitive, honestly. It's good ideas on paper, but really the growth vats would have been so much better of an idea, I think.
Yeah, just like blessings. Like, oh, you've killed this, you've got this many skulls. Great job. Do you want a blessing on your unit or something? And then you can go, yeah, I do. Much like the Throt. I mean, I get this is basically reusing the Throt mechanic, but it's such a good mechanic. Why not? Then, oh no, you turned him into a chaos spawn because you blessed him too many times. Better luck next time.
Do like a complete thrust of the laboratory? It's like, no, this isn't the laboratory. This is the flesh workshop.
It just works so well.
Yeah. Right.
I think just being able to spawn dudes would be fine, because then you can be a little bit more aggressive. You know, you lose a couple of dudes, no problem. Just add in a couple more.
That is
it's nice fine.
Every DLC. Look at that.
Wow.
If you want to kill someone, I think I'm fine with that. I feel
happy with that.
Grim in the Grave is a weird one still. I'm gonna go back down because the Mortis engine is literally like the most important thing for the vampires. It's like Mortis engine and Geists are the most important bits for.
You want to bump
vampires.
That up to B tier? Are you feeling sad about it?
I mean, if it's a buyer's guide, then yes. But then again, if it's a buyer's guide and if you like vampires, then just like get the only vampire DLC, I guess, on a sale.
The only vampire DLC that isn't even a vampire. Just a wrinkly prune raisin man.
I love that even like the lore dudes would be like, Gorst who? It's like, had to go and reread the book and it's like, oh yeah, this dude was really good at zombies.
Considering it was the first it was the first Lord pack, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It really does feel like the Three Kingdoms moment of we're doing the 8 princes first.
Oh,
sort of, here's a guy you have never heard of before. Enjoy.
I did a Sun Sea campaign just the other week. And that game is still so good. So good. And the 8 Princess stuff is just such a abysmal shame. It's so insane as well they made this.
It's such a weird I would just love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting where they go, let's do 8 princes. Like, what?
I didn't even know
Why?
until somebody said it, because I was like, the only reason you buy that one is to get cataphracts. And people were like, no, those are free. They made most of 8 Princes stuff free. Just you can still buy it to play the campaigns and stuff like that, but most of the unit stuff like that are free. And like, oh wow.
So weird. Such a weird choice.
Yeah, Three Kingdoms still is such a good game. Jesus Christ. When I played it now, I really discovered that it's not just one of my favorite Total War games. It's literally one of my favorite games, hands down, ever. It's so good.
I think it's got some of the most enjoyable battles, to be honest. Everything feels very balanced.
Yeah, weird enough. It's like, you know how to use stuff. It is gonna be very easy. If you don't know how to use it, you'll just die like super fast.
Yeah, such a good game.
So when's Three Kingdoms 2 coming out?
Well, allegedly about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember the exact moment when I was like walking home from my job to the train station, and I just like, oh, I've got a notification on my phone. Is it text from a loved one? No, it's a Discord announcement that Three Kingdoms has been shuttered. Ah, good. And I just fucking put my phone in my pocket and was like, cool. I didn't cover it when it was out, but I was, come on, man. Back it in.
It was, I guess they just wasn't making enough money for them, to be honest, but still.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I mean, they did say that they weren't making a profit from them. Like, is what the leaker said, at least, the person who was, yeah.
I'm not surprised if they did 8 Princes first, to be honest.
Yeah.
Good job, like, taking a game out and shooting it.
Yeah, I remember I was in. They actually flew me out to Gamescom to stream 8 Princes from there. And I remember the first day, like nobody watched that. Like my normal viewership for for Three Kingdoms and for Warhammer stuff like that just like plummeted down to like almost nothing. And I was like talking to CA and like the PR agency stuff like that. I was like, why would you make this even? And one of them said like, yeah, when something is this popular, you just want to get a DLC out as fast as possible to capitalize on that. I was like, this is the worst thing you could have done, basically.
You know, something's got all this momentum. What you want to do is get someone out to kill it as fast as possible.
I remember I said the same thing almost, because I got to see Total War Troy like 8 months before it was announced. And I was also just like, who is this for?
That is the most baffling Total War launch like ever. Like,
I like
stop playing. Like, who wants to play?
I like Total War Troy. I do. I mean, I think the main problem with Total War Troy is probably the sea, because Total War's never really known how to deal with naval stuff, and then they made a game with a giant sea in between it and a bunch of islands, and they were like, "This will be fine," and I don't think it was fine. But
yeah, I mean, it had a bunch of problems. It didn't have a cool factor really. It's like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do with the giants? Like, yeah, it's just the Cyclops is just this dude with a small baby elephant skull on him. It's like, is that cool though? And they're like, I don't know. Like, that was kind of the problem, right? He became like a meme because he wasn't cool, but became just, yeah, no, you didn't give a shit about it, really.
Had they leaned into the mythology side of it, I think they would have done really well.
I mean, the mythology you'll see is great. Like the game just becomes better that way.
I think that was when it. I mean, did it launch on Steam with that DLC, or did it launch on Steam and then get the DLC later?
Yeah, I think so. It did.
Yeah, because I had like a brief spike when that came out, but
yeah,
it was not meant to be.
I think if they just went ahead and just did an Age of Mythology type, and I know the historical people would be like, but it's not historical, and yeah,
that's the point.
You're right. But I think it would do really well anyway. So.
I don't know. I feel like Three Kingdoms was extremely successful, and it's a romance of the Three Kingdoms. Like it is historical kind of, but it's a jazzed up version of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still flabbergasted with the fact they haven't done a Medieval 3. But I mean, they did Pharaoh, and that's kind of like. It's not a bad game. There's a lot of good stuff in there. It's just a period of history that I don't think most people care about.
Yeah.
Whereas if they went and did Medieval, people would be all over that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because the studio that made Medieval as well was CA Australia or something, and they shuttered after that. So they don't really have any talent from that one either. They just have like fans of it that's supposed to make a new one without a different engine and stuff. So it does become tricksy, I guess. But it would be just printing money making Medieval 3 at this point, especially if you would just make like a romance mode for that. Well, obviously, like it's way harder because it's like not as long ago and we have better records of stuff.
Yeah, Hat DLC, amazing. That did happen, right? Pharaoh has a Hat DLC. I didn't just dream that.
They had it, but I think they removed the cosmetic packs or something like that because we had the access to it, but I don't think I ever even saw how to start it or something.
What an insane choice.
My brain was just like, what? My guess is this was a Sega diktat. It must have been, because I cannot imagine that anyone at CA would go, this seems like a really good idea, considering all of your characters are about that high. And you never actually look at them. Like, if I'm trying to find my general in Pharaoh, it's really hard because he's in the middle of a unit. And I'm like, well, I'm sure he's around here somewhere, but I'm not going to be looking for his fucking hat, am I?
Yeah, it makes more sense in Warhammer. Just like give Carl a big balloon animal hat.
Yeah, and like top hats for Hydras.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, like that I guess
and little monocles
kind of makes sense, but hats for Pharaoh is just the most batshit insane idea I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean that one was super duper weird. Super, yeah. It's the decisions that are made above our pay grade just proves that rich people, very very few people actually earn that money.
Who was it? It was a CEO of someone. I think it might have been the Warner Bros. Gaming division, who doesn't play games. Says, like, I'm not being funny. If you are the head of a company that is making, you should like at least play Tetris or something. And it's like, oh yeah, Suicide Squad. Make more.
How did that work out for him? You know he got like a load of money for that decision.
Oh yeah, definitely. He didn't lose out on anything.
No.
I mean, I always say that when you have like creative businesses and you just have like the economy bros like from the good university how to do business, you're just not gonna do anything creative with that because it's all about the money and you chase trends and shit like that, and nobody wants to do that. Like no one creative wants to chase just trends.
Oh, speaking of creativity, the guys at great news. The guys at Remedy who made Alan Wake 2 is officially turning profit.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Thank fucking God. Make more.
I haven't played Alan Wake 2 yet, but I did like Quantum Basic Break and obviously Control.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 it's very good. It's very weird. I feel like I need to play it again to really absorb it, but it's very good. Speaking of it, should we wrap up with what we've been playing? So Fred,
yeah.
first job.
Yeah.
You guys want to go first?
I've just been still in the shower. Cyberpunk. Still
grinding out. Such a good game.
I'm loving it. Going to full.
What kind of build are you doing?
Extremely speedy with swords and a revolver and a sniper rifle. It's fabulous stuff.
That's exactly what I did the first time, and then the second time I was like, this time I'm gonna do Sandevistan, sword, pistol, and sniper rifle because I enjoyed it so much the first time, and I just did that again.
I've got a mod that lets me change my build whenever I want, and I just like I don't want to. It's so much fun.
Nice. I what is it about meleeing people in Cyberpunk which is just so satisfying?
It's
because when you do the time still. Yeah.
It's just fabulous.
I went with punching people. That was my jam. There's that mission where you need to like sneak into a base. You like go to a high rise like building or something. You were looking down at it and you have like some stories.
The warehouse.
Yeah, I think so. And I tried to be sneaky for about 5 minutes in that, and then eventually immediately got found out. And they were like, "Oh no, they've got a big robot!" And I was like, "Fuck that!" And I just punched it to death with like 3 hits. And then I was like racing around using my like super speed, and this guy like slowly poked his head out from around a box, and I just went boom, and his head just exploded like a melon, and it was so satisfying.
Yeah, the melee combat it's so fun. It's just, on the one hand, it's a shame that it's not more of an RPG because it's just like basically an action game. But I'm enjoying the writing this time around. Like I'm taking it nice and slow, and I'm enjoying it a lot more. But
that's awesome.
It's fabulous. I want to finish Pokemon Arceus.
So with Cyberpunk, is that with the DLC as well? Because there was a DLC, wasn't there?
Yeah. I've started the DLC. and I'm just kind of like hopping around, and I'm trying to do it where like, oh, well, I'll meet you tonight. And I'm like, well, if we're meeting tonight, you know, I'll go and do some other stuff until it gets that time in the game. Just to take my time and get into it a little bit, but it's, yeah, loving it.
I remember I played it when the DLC got released, and you could really tell that they had like optimized entirety of Night City and everything, that it ran so well. And then you go into like, what's it called, Dogtown or something?
Yeah.
You just go in there and it's like,
yeah. It's that market when you first come out and you just drop like 30 FPS, like, ooh, this ain't good.
You're like, oh no.
It's not that bad, especially with the new they've changed the frame, not the frame gen, the upscaling thing. So now performance, it looks exceptionally good, and I'm getting like 80 FPS most of the time. So
wait, what kind of graphics card do you have?
I've got 3090. So you know.
Oh, yeah, right.
I could buy 5090, but I could also pay my mortgage instead. Actually, my mortgage payment is less than a 5090, significantly.
Yeah, I mean, like, unless you live in a mansion, I believe that's
so insane.
Yeah, crazy stuff as well. I was checking out the GPU stuff because I was like, yeah, it's not a big performance increase from like if you want to get a 5080, it's like 10% from a 4080.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a 3080. It's like 50% increase for me.
Yeah,
like
if you from 30, it's genuinely like a big uptick, but it's just so insanely overpriced and also no stock.
Yeah, no stock. And I was checking out tweets from big retailers. They were like, yeah, you might have one in like, what's this, up to 16 weeks on like 4 months, or what is this?
Nice.
Like 4 months away. So that's like a paper launch. But hopefully they'll fix a bunch of stuff then until the summer when you might be able to buy one.
Yeah, then I can play Cyberpunk again with path tracing.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then they'll probably give it another huge giant update the minute I finish it, like they did last time, but I digress. What have you guys been playing?
Well, I've completed Heart of the Machine, which came out earlier this month. Came out. How
was that one? Because that one was so weird in the demo.
It is very weird. But it's kind of how to explain. It's kind of like a point and click adventure disguised as a strategy game, because you can do stuff, but only when it wants you to. But it's kind of got this really sort of bizarre, like, how do I explain this? So it's got different timelines. So you can you can complete it, and then you can go back and try different things, but as yourself and with the upgrades that you got at the end of the last. And basically, you can basically like almost die and still get to the end. It's such a esoteric kind of bizarre game, but I do kind of love it because of what it is. It's just very hard to describe or sell to anyone because of how we do it. But apparently it's done very well, which I'm quite pleased about, because I do think that weird shit there should be more weird shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also played No Man's Sky because that got a massive update.
Again.
Because I guess I don't have anything better to do. But I didn't get very far in that. But it sounds great. Like underwater stuff, you can dig deeper. You can go to gas giants and stuff. That sounds pretty neat. If I ever get there. Yeah, there is fishing as well. Yeah, you can. Just the amount of stuff they do to that game is completely insane.
Yeah, it's a lot of kind of superficial stuff, but it just compounds into like really big changes if you go back every second year or something.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Fred?
I love that game personally. I've been playing a bunch of Dynasty Warriors Origins, which is a cool game. I don't know if I talked about that last time. When was the last podcast?
I think he came up. I'm assuming you've also been playing some Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
Yeah, a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. They even sent me the collection edition as well, but it's been really cool. I'm like 40 hours in, and now I'm like out, and I just got out of the tutorial village. It's been good. It's a fantastic game. I really love it. It's
is the first one worth playing first?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, it is.
I'll wait on that then.
Can I play the second one without playing the first one?
Yeah, there's a bunch of flashbacks all the time, but the first one is still like it's good still.
The two approaches. Should I try and get the full experience? Can I skip it? Can tell who has kids.
I just keep having these like flashbacks. I have no memory of this. What the fuck happened? Which is basically my life, to be honest.
It's just like, oh, are you home earlier? And you're just sitting there, and you're just like flashback, and then it's like, hello, wife.
My wife keeps telling me, remember when we did this thing? I was like, no, not really.
And yeah, 3 Kingdoms, and shout out as well to Benris and Whispers of the Eyeless, who he released this game now, and it's doing fairly all right as well. I think he said it's doing better than he thought.
I did try that. I wasn't super into the combat.
He did, like, I tried this a couple of first days, and they did patches because, you know, he's a pretty big gamer that plays everything on like the hardest all time, and he knows his game pretty well, so he had to like tone it down a little bit because people were dying in the tutorial, and I also had a really tough time. So it's been patched a couple of times, and he's very, very big on doing this.
I'll have to try that.
You should. And I've been playing, like, I play so many goddamn games constantly though. Also went and played some Civilization 7.
I've heard it's a game.
I mean, people who play the other ones aren't liking it. I have never been a big Civilization person, so I played like a couple of sessions, and time flew by faster than I thought it would.
It really does.
So, I mean, I don't think I'm gonna return to this very soon because they are gonna do a big rework patch in March. But yeah, we'll see.
I looked at it. The only problem is I kind of started bouncing off turn-based historical strategy games like Civ. I just couldn't get into them. So I'm a bit nervous about trying it.
I really liked, I think Civ 5 is still my favorite. Civ 6 did a lot of new stuff, but I don't know, there's just something about 5. It's just got that sauce.
But yeah, a lot of Kingdom Come Deliverance. My life has just been Kingdom Come Deliverance, basically. Might try Avowed, though, because that got released yesterday. Yesterday, kind of.
Yeah, I need to line up what I'm going to play after I finish Cyberpunk, but, you know, that's optimistic because I think I'm like 40 hours in and I'm not particularly close to an end. I've still got shitloads of stuff to do, but I'm not bothered. I'm still enjoying it. I've still got...
Oh, wait, isn't Avowed that the Pillars of Eternity thing?
Yeah. It's I saw it as Dark Messiah, basically, but new.
Oh, shit, son. That's pretty good. I'll have to give that one a try.
That's what it looked, though. I don't know.
I've heard it's pretty good. Isn't it Obsidian? Are they the New Vegas people, or is that someone else?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the New Vegas people. I'm fairly
I've heard it's
sure.
very much like most things they do, which is like pretty good, a little bit jank, not perfect, but enjoyable.
Yeah, I think the last thing they did was that you might have heard of was like, I think they made Grounded and Outer Worlds, right?
Isn't Outer Worlds 2 coming out as well this year?
Yeah, I think it is.
They've been busy.
Very busy.
Yeah, I didn't mind Outer Worlds. It just, I don't know.
It was a 7 out of 10 space game.
Yeah.
Like, could have been better, could have been worse. Wasn't anything I'm going to replay anytime soon, I guess.
Indeed. I'll tell you what I'm excited for. Did you watch any of the State of Play?
No.
There's a new game from the Returnal people. I can never remember what it's called, but it's starring the, I don't want to mispronounce his name. I think it's like Rahul something. Rahul Kohli, who was in Blind Man. This guy. But it's it's another Returnal. Returnal. I'm going to cut this out because that's just a very strange thing to have above us. But anyway, yeah, it's by the Returnal people, and it seems to be like the same sort of thing, where it's like trapped in a time loop against some like weird insurmountable odds, and he keeps learning what's going on. Go away. Anyway, yeah, it looks very cool. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, the rest of the State of Play was pretty dry. There was a new top-down Dynasty Warriors game.
Oh, yeah.
Some new samurai stuff. And then like just a shitload of new, very generic-looking Souls-like games, which I just could not give less of a shit about.
It's kind of... since Souls became kind of big, it's reached that sort of like 3-year point where anyone who went, oh shit, we should make a game like this, is now finishing their game, and now there are just going to be a deluge of these Souls-like games. Which are...
Yeah, that started a couple of years ago with just a bunch of Souls games. So we just had like a steady stream of Souls games with Lies of P and the Italian one, whatever that one was called. I can never remember what that one's called.
New Lies of P.
And then 5 years from now, CA will come out with their version.
Probably. Yeah, Lies of P's getting a new DLC. I did see that. So that's, whenever there's a cool game, like Dark Souls and Elden Ring, they look so cool. But it's just like, I'm not built for those games.
No.
I will just get too mad and too frustrated. I just want to play a game to relax. I want to slashings with my sword while time stops. I don't want to have to fight a boss 1,000 times to see a little bit of story. So it's so frustrating every time I'm like, oh, this game looks so cool. Wow, that world looks so interesting. Oh, shame I'll never see it.
It totally is a skill issue with me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And the problem is I don't have any skill. And then you watch some guy fight the toughest boss basically with a pot on his head.
Yeah.
And completely naked, and you're like, well, I will never be able to do that. Like, that is incredibly impressive, but this game is not for me, and that's absolutely fine.
It makes me sad, but there's a lot of other games.
I always try to stream those, and then I don't get many viewers on it, and then it just kind of sits there in the backlog because I'm like, yeah, these 5 people might be sad if they can't watch it, and then I don't really play it that much, and then I play a little bit off stream. And I feel guilty, and then I give up. So I'm at like the last boss of my Elden Ring character because I did like 3 bosses off stream, and then I just don't want to play it more. But my anime character in Elden Ring is just sitting there before the last boss because I don't.
Yeah, the guilt of playing something that isn't for content is that sucks.
Yeah.
But I played Pokemon. I'm probably never going to talk about that, but I enjoyed it.
It's important to play games that you like.
It is. Indiana Jones, Great Circle, fabulous time.
Oh yeah, what was everyone's favorite game last year? Did we talk about that?
Oh,
I don't know, probably.
Indiana Jones, The Great Circle was like my... we did actually.
Look at my spreadsheet.
Oh my God, you've got a spreadsheet?
Oh yeah, big time.
This is the most psychotic thing I've ever watched, and I really enjoy this.
What the fuck is that? What am I seeing right now?
What did I play? I don't think I played much that came out last year.
You put a percentage against your excitement?
I've stopped doing this. This is this year's, which is a little bit less psychotic. But
I'm
ours as well.
Oh yeah, gotta measure.
Dude, I'll tell you about this because you might actually want to hear this. I actually bought a new M2 SSD. A 4 terabyte one, just so I can have all my games on it.
Nice. That is.
I bought it on Black Friday. It took until like late January until I got it, but it was $250 for 4 terabytes.
That's pretty cheap.
Samsung one. Yeah, I was so good. I was so happy about that one.
Oh
yeah, Moss. How's Moss?
I'm glad you're doing this. Because if you weren't doing something like this, you would definitely have like an underground volcano base with a
or just
major capital,
or like a van with tinted out windows, just like
more
someone's schedule in a notebook. It's like the most fun part is just seeing what they do, not the actual hunt. Just scoping out.
I mean, as I discussed,
what's my excitement level?
As I discussed on the second channel at the end of the year wrap up, doing this is extremely unhealthy, and I played a lot of games just to finish them, like Conscript. I hated that shit. Sorry, one man dev. So yeah, this year I'm just like playing what I want, just giving them a score.
How's Underdogs? That's the mech game where you smash stuff, right?
Fabulous fun. That is fantastic. Okay.
I started my VR headset just to play like Cyber Pilots, Wolfenstein. But it's all right. But I have Underdogs as well. I might try that instead.
It is very good.
Let me be honest with you, Damneders. What I'm seeing right now in front of my eyes, through my eye holes, is making me feel very inadequate. Because the way I choose is I go, yeah, that'll be fun, and then I potentially, if I'm lucky, pin it in my Steam catalog as like a favorite. But often I forget and just have to like type the name in each time I remember I want to play it. That's how I do this. And then you've got this this is so organized.
Well, I mean, I've stopped like having like I've got a full list of games, but I never look at this because like it's just impossible to navigate. So I'll pick something that I either want to play or want to make a video about, and then I'll just log it here and then just write some notes, because then it's like, well, all right, so what did I play last year that I don't really remember? Oh, Fred, you're asking about Underdogs. Pretty basic plot, great immersive VR game, melee combat is really, really fun because you're in a big mech, so you don't need any feedback. I can remember exactly how the game was. Or Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Does your girlfriend know you have this?
Oh, yeah.
Outlaws is abandoned.
What is abandoned?
Huh.
Abandoned Star Wars Outlaws.
Yeah, because I did a big call at the start of this year because I'm like, right, I need to, if you have like 6 games that you're playing at once, inevitably there are 4 that you just don't touch, and they just stay there forever.
Did you abandon Star Wars Outlaws at the Swamp Planet?
No, I barely played any of it, but I was just like, it's just like, I'm not, my rule for if I'm playing something is if I'm really enjoying it or I'm going to make a video about it. If it's neither of those, it got cut. Maybe picked up later when I want some slop, but yeah. Anyway, this is it. This is very, I feel like you're looking up skirt here. This is very, I feel very exposed.
I got so many questions.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is such a good game. That was like
a 9
an
purely
actual
for nostalgia.
Yeah, I would probably say like a 9 out of 10 just from being a pure, Indiana Jones movie with a game attached.
That is a subjective 9. That is not an objective 9. Objectively, the game's probably like a 7. Subjectively,
no, objectively, that game is like a 9 or a 10. 100%. That is such a good game. Like the acting and everything like that is so good. If you skip all the cutscenes and have none of the cutscenes, yeah, I can get it.
It was kind of hilarious at the end. I won't spoil it, but you come to a certain thing and Indiana Jones sees something and he says immediately, "That's this," and I just burst out laughing because of how absurd and jumping the shark it was, but how fitting for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna close my skirt now.
Probably for the best.
All right. Well, that was a great tangent. Actually, I love that. We could actually have an episode going through your site list because I really enjoyed. Thank you for showing us that. That was actually delightful. I enjoyed that.
I'll pass you the template if you want. No? Okay.
It's genuinely like watching the mind of a serial killer.
I'm just organizing the games I play. There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, I played this for like 200 hours. I should probably leave a Steam review.
This is better than Steam review. This is for me, so I can remember these games.
That's true. Who gives a shit what other people think about?
It's genuinely incredibly impressive, and I feel wildly underprepared.
That was fantastic. Plus, we're gonna have to wrap this one up. Thank you guys for this episode. This was delightful being on the sort of same page for once about things. Yeah,
good episode. Leave your DLC rankings in the comments below for engagement.
Yeah, please do. I actually read all the comments. I like check. I'll after every single like for every single day for a week. I just check like new comments and sometimes even respond, which I did for on the last one as well. For the people that are nobody ever responds back. They're like, oh, I don't like this and this and this. This is actually just for this, and they're like, no, actually.
Yeah, they quickly.
I'm like, no, come back, friends.
They quickly crawl back into their hole once you turn up in the comments to reply to them.
I don't like conflict, do I?
All right. This was it for me and my lovely co-hosts. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.